The issue that we're going to discuss today is, should mom/mother-in-law live with us? Ray, we used your card first. Do you have the photo of that one? And what I can do is share my screen right now. It's my mom. She's homeless. Keep it real.
Right.
You having a hard time seeing that? Oh, you on the cell phone, huh?
Yeah.
Can you say that to her and tell her it's a 10?
Yeah. It was my mom is homeless. It's a 10.
Okay. The next step, key, was 4, and you have to repeat back to him what you believe he means in your own words. And I believe this is that card.
So what's the first couple of lines? I believe what I'm hearing you say.
What you're saying to me is?
What you're saying to me is, because your mom is homeless, this is a priority of yours.
Is that right?
Is that right?
Yes.
So step 6 was you had to say this detail is or is not true. I didn't do the back of that card. But on the back of that card, you did say this detail is not true. And you gave it a relevance of 7. Do you remember what you wrote?
Yeah, I think I said something along the lines of, we don't know if your mother perceives herself to be homeless.
Right. You said your mom is a free spirit and she likes to move around freely. So she's saying your mom is a free spirit and she likes to move around freely. And you had to repeat back to her what you believe she means. Can you do that, please?
I believe I hear my wife saying is that my mom isn't homeless and that she just moves around freely.
Is that right? But you guys are talking to each other. So this is not like a marriage counseling thing where there's another person there that might be giving their opinion. And once you learn how to play the game, it'll just be you and her sitting at the kitchen table or in the car or wherever, resolving your disagreement. So you guys will be talking to each other, okay?
Okay.
So if you can say, what you're saying to me is, and then follow that with, is that right?
So what you're saying to me is my mom is not homeless and she likes to move around.
Right. That is right.
Okay. So the next step, step 11, was the focused discussion and debate. You guys had some discussion about that already, and you can do that again. Staying focused on him saying, it's my mom, she's homeless, keep it real. And your response to Keela is, your mom is a free spirit and she likes to move around freely. So let's talk about just that for a minute, and then we'll move to the next steps.
I don't know if it helps to add, but I know the word nomad was used also. But when we talked it out, or as we were talking it out, I've learned that you don't define homeless as I define.
That is that is correct. And I also think that, in us talking about this issue, I think that we agreed on the fact that you nor I can assume what your mother's situation is. We have to, get clarity and get confirmation from her herself.
I agree.
So the next step was step 12, which was on your side, Takia, where you have to share your adjustment or your takeaway, anything you took from this. And ideally you start with, I feel better because, and you said, we are attempting and being intentional in creating dialogue about this topic. You don't have to stick with that. You can say something to him that starts with, I feel better because.
I feel better because we are beginning to dialogue in an uncomfortable conversation that has been ignored for quite some time.
Okay. Now, Ray, it's your time to do the same thing. Anything you took from this interaction. I feel better because to your wife.
I feel better because, you know, I understand that we're not speaking the same language and we don't interpret homeless as the same definition.
Okay. So the next step, step 14, is on your side, Ray, but step 14 is a step that we both, or you both, have to handle together and agree on. The first part of that is, was there any progress on this detail? And you guys have to agree yes or no. And you both said yes. Is that still true?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. The second part of this is, did we win the game? Was there enough progress to resolve this issue? And we said no. Did one of you feel like there was enough progress or not to win the game, or you both said the game's not over?
I believe I said it was not over.
Okay.
And I said it was not over.
Okay, good. So that's it for the first card. That detail was, it's my mom, she's homeless, let's keep it real. So the second most relevant card was number 10, and that one said that we didn't discuss this matter before her arrival. So that was yours, Takia. And so can you repeat that to him and tell him how relevant it is? You gave it a 10.
I gave my issue of us not discussing your mother being here before our arrival a 10.
So now, Ray, the most important steps, you have to repeat back to her what you believe she means in your own words and follow that with, is that right?
What I heard my wife say is that we didn't have the conversation about my mom being homeless before she arrived. Is that correct?
That is incorrect. I said we didn't have the conversation about your mom being here with us, staying here with us prior to her coming here.
Yeah. So what I heard you say is that we didn't have a conversation about my mom staying with us before she arrived. Is that
correct?
Good job. The next step, this detail is or is not true. Ray, you circled is true before. Is that still correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And the next step was, how relevant is this detail to you? You gave it a 10 on the podcast. Do you still give it a 10?
Yes.
And your response was, there was no expectation that she would there was no expectation that she would have to stay. So can you say that or edit it however you want to your wife?
There was no knowledge that my mom would have to stay before she arrived.
Okay. So I'm sorry.
I was just going to phrase it. I had no knowledge that my mom would need to stay before she arrived.
Okay. That was step 8. Step 9 and 10, Takia, most important steps. You have to repeat back to him what you believe he means in your own words and follow that with, is that right?
I heard you say that you didn't have any knowledge of your mother needing to stay here, needing to stay here with us. Is that correct?
Yes.
Prior to her arrival.
That is correct.
So, Takia, if I could get you, both of you guys, to try to practice saying what you're saying to me is. What I heard you say is virtually the same thing, but I'm trying to form a habit. So if you're having a conversation later today and he says something to you, when he hears you say, so what you're saying to me is, he'll know that you're in the game environment and we're having fun trying to resolve this disagreement. I'm not trying to have an argument with you. We're just playing the game. We just don't have the cards with us. So I really want, so what you're saying to me is, to ring that bell, if that makes sense, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Next step is the focus, discussion, debate. Either one of you can start.
So I find it hard to have a conversation about something that is a non-topic at the time in advance. I can't understand how to bring a conversation to you about my mom staying with us, but it's no knowledge and information.
I don't need to say what I heard you say is, or can I give my, this is not that section that we do that in, right?
Right. You're just going back and forth here. Now, but listen, if you want to make sure you understand what he meant, it's okay to say that. It's good to say that.
Okay. Um, I, I, I do, I do believe that you didn't have any any insight or detail that upon your mom's arrival to our house for um, a weekend stay would have turned, a temporary stay would have turned permanent. But I do believe and think that my discernment of the things that I was seeing and the things that were starting to alarm me to to make me feel to make me feel like this is not the time and this is not the way I want to invite this situation into our home, that the dialogue of that conversation wasn't taken seriously. To 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 avoid us being where we are now. I, you know, I said, you know, she came here for the weekend and and it, from what you told me, it wasn't asked to her, hey, mom, do you want to stay longer? When I asked you, hey, when is your mom returning back home? You told me, oh, I thought, I thought, or I think she should stay until we return back from our next trip. And I'm like, wait, that's not a discussion. Um, so and then 2 weeks have gone by, and the way I'm feeling because of the cues that I'm getting in regards to, hey, my mom and my auntie seem like they need some space. Hey, I'm hearing that, you know, hey, I'm thinking maybe my mom can stay to the end of the month. And I'm like, wait, slow. And I'm trying to use my words to say, hey, I don't know how you're feeling, but I feel like this is going to take a turn left. How can you and I reel this in before, and I didn't say in these exact words, but before we have a permanent situation? And I was asked to compromise. I didn't want to compromise and I gave my reasons. And then I was told, hey, I'm going to do as you suggest. And that didn't happen because it went later on to, well, I need it for this. And so the point I'm trying to make is I feel like I was engaging in conversations to, hey, this is not the pre, but we're about to get stuck in something. Can you and I take a look at this before we get stuck? Because even with the little hints that was adding up to this, I thought we were on the page of, hey, Ray and Takia, moving forward, we need to be on the same page and handle things the way we need to instead of someone forcing our hands. And the latter took place. Our hand was forced. And I feel like we had a little wiggle room to have the upper hand. I am.
I heard what you said. What I think I hear you saying, what I think I hear you say to me is that despite your agreement that I had no information in advance that my mom was going to need to stay, that I am still responsible for not understanding the cues that you were seeing when it wasn't clearly articulated to me that way. You had a different vision for what you wanted to see happen for my mother, and I had a different vision, and we didn't discuss our differences, and because we didn't discuss it, I am responsible for not having a conversation with you in advance. I believe, my failure is not being able to understand what it was you were asking me to do, and I wasn't clear in articulating what it is I was planning or trying to do when it concerned my mom and her staying longer than we agreed on.
That is not what I'm saying. What I'm sharing with you is I I tried my best to articulate my words of wanting to feel supported and wanting to protect my peace and boundaries in my home. And I feel like, again, like some past similar situations, your priority to your family outside of our household took precedence over what I wanted to maintain and have in my own house. I was forced to be supportive. I was forced to compromise the main things that I feel like I ask and articulate to you quite often: peace and boundaries. And I didn't feel supported by you and asking by going to my partner and saying, in order for me to maintain this, for me, can we do this? And I I felt like you again prioritized your family outside of this household over a ask or what I need in my own house.
I can't say nothing about that when our words like peace and boundary are used. I don't have a response for that.
Words like what?
Peace and boundaries. I can't rebuttal that.
Okay. So, are you guys finished, you think? This,
Yeah.
okay. So, step 12 will be next. You, Ray, whatever you took from this interaction, ideally you start with, I feel better because I realize, or whatever.
I feel better because, again, I've realized my eyes have been open to what I was not looking at. I wasn't looking at this as, your piece or your boundary. I had a specific vision, and it did not match up to peace or boundaries being compromised. And I feel better now because I understand where I went wrong and hearing you talk about what I didn't prioritize.
I feel better because I feel better because I'm learning to just try my best to speak up for myself. There are moments and times where I just want to not speak up in fear of I'm going to be overlooked. And I'm feeling better because I'm telling myself to stop doing that. So I feel better because I feel like I am, as challenging as these conversations are, that that I am being heard.
All right. Takia and Ray, was there any progress with this one detail?
There was progress with this detail.
Okay.
Yes.
I see Ray, you're shaking your head. Yes.
I agree. Yes.
And was there enough progress to win the game? Or do we keep going?
For me, I would say it's enough progress to win the game because I can clearly see my part in this, and I don't know what more there is to move forward on.
You can clearly see your what?
I see my part in this. I see the role that I play and how I did not prevent this from being an issue.
Okay. So the issue is, should mother-in-law live with us? So you guys are going to win if you both agree yes. You win if you both agree no. Or you win if you guys agree to on something in the middle. Just have some kind of an agreement of a next step. And then you might have to play the game to settle that next step. You follow me? But at
Yeah,
least
I understand.
at least you won't be fighting about it. And Takia, at least you'll be able to voice your opinion. Feel free to voice your opinion about it and be heard. But we're just trying to come to an agreement here. So, but to win the game, you have to agree yes, no, or something else between you guys. I don't have a dog in this fight, so I don't know.
My response is something that, you and I talked about. We agree that mom will be staying with us.
One more time, Takia. Your response is
In order to win this game, I'm saying a yes to the issue of, do we agree with mom staying with us?
that sounds like a question. So are you saying
The answer is yes. To win the game, the answer is yes. I say yes to the agreeing part of mom staying with us.
okay? So I'm assuming, Ray, you agree to that?
Yes.
Okay, so to me, it sounds like you guys have resolved the issue and won your game. Is that correct?
We won the game.
Okay.
And I mean, and to be honest, there's more conversations that need to be had in the resolution of the issue. I mean, at this point in time, we couldn't talk prior to her being here. So now we have to do some catching up and engaging in conversations now. But the answer to the issue is she staying? And the answer is yes. But in regards to moving forward, as you stated, and in future encounters of just conversations, that we have to do better in communicating and listening and understanding.
Right. So now maybe you guys have to talk about how is she going to stay, what her role is going to be, where is she going to stay, and all this stuff. And you may need to play the game to agree to settle that if you come to a part where you don't agree. But let's finish the cards. Okay.
I don't mind finishing, another card or two.
Okay. So, I mean, this is just so that you guys will tell each other what you wrote on your other cards, so that we let everything out. That's what we want to do. We don't want either one of you walking away with stuff in your head. So the next 9 was, I want my kids to spend more time with our kids. That was you, Ray?
Yeah, it probably said one of our kids to spend more time with my mom.
Oh, no, it says kids. But we can go with mom. And tell her what that is to you. I'll find it too.
He's looking for that card on his phone.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I see. Typo, sorry. Yes, it says I want my kids to spend more time with their kids. And that's supposed to have said I want my children to spend more time with my mom.
Tell her how relevant it is.
I placed it as a 9.
Okay. And then the next card was yours, Takia?
The next card.
Yes.
Oh, okay. It looks like I've been asked to compromise my own home. I've been asked to
Right.
compromise in my own home, left to feel unsupported. And I gave that a 9.
Okay.
The next card I said she's helpful, and I
Correct.
gave that a relevance of 8.
Okay. My next card was because with his mom being at our home, it disrupts our boundaries and peace. And I gave that an 8.
Okay. Now, if at any point you guys want to say something, you're welcome to. What we're doing right here is we're making sure you guys get it all out so that we're not having those and another thing conversations later, or you're not feeling like you're able to share. Okay.
Understood.
The next one was yours too, I believe, Takia. So 7.
It's a 7. His mom brings baggage with her to our home.
Okay. Then the next one was Ray's. His 5.
Yeah, I can't even remember what I was thinking there because I can't make sense of what I wrote.
It says it's my mom, and I want her to enjoy the kids, maybe, or take care of mom.
Yeah, I can't make sense of it.
Yeah, see, this is the effects of that smoking and the drinking on the podcast.
Yeah. You got a point there.
I couldn't tell what that meant either. Okay, but it was a 5, and probably not that big of a deal. And the last one was a 1. That was yours too, Ray.
So what I was saying there was, I'm the firstborn, and this is an expectation of is expected of
And the relevance?
a 1.
All right. So how you guys feeling right now?
Okay.
Are you glad you played? Are you glad you played? Again?
I'll say yes, because I don't think that if we played this game this time, again, repeating the practice and the habits of what I've heard you say,
What you're
what I
saying to
heard,
me is,
what you're saying to me is, and I don't think we would have gotten. I don't think we would have gotten through the. I don't think we would have gained understanding of something that he thought that I was saying, and I shared with him, no, that's not correct, and so again, I think a point that you're making is the repetitiveness of these phrases. I think causes us to slow down, causes us to really focus, causes us to really pay attention, because I can at least say for myself, I don't think I said anything differently than I've said in the past, regarding regarding the point that I'm making, for him to say, oh, now I see what you're saying. And so it's not about me, again, getting frustrated. It's about, again, the being intentional and listening and using certain words to say, hey, let's just take a moment to listen.
I hear that. I hear that all the time. I've said it a million times before. And he or she will say, well, I just didn't hear you. But what you said was very true. Anything you want to say, Ray?
Um, if you haven't already figured out, Rod, I have a lot to say about, my opinion of things. I think it's very common in relationships and marriages specifically, since this game is about marriages. It's often that both parties will say, I've said this thing a million times, but the million and one time is still a new experience
Mhm.
from the past ones, in my opinion, because we don't live our lives in, the time existence of we keep repeating the same issue. No, it's a building of an issue that probably was never addressed, or it's the fact that the issues change and we got to go through the process again of communicating what those issues are. And so for me, what I see is that we find the repetition of addressing issues as the same issue, when really I just think the process looks to be the same, because it means we have to communicate through what those issues are. And sometimes the nuances of words like peace and boundaries being compromised also looks like the same issue, when really, there are different areas of where peace and boundary exist in those current topics. So not to sound too arbitrary, I guess what I'm trying to articulate is that, playing this game has really reminded me of something that we experienced in counseling before. It
Mhm.
started with the phrase just like that. I hear you saying to me, or I understand you saying, trying to repeat what we heard the person say, and an active listening, which is active listening interaction, right? It's a I can't find the words right now, but it is a task of making sure I hear what she says and I can repeat back what she says and not paraphrase it to my understanding. And so when that's done, I know from experience that does what my wife stated. It causes you to stop and think about what the person is saying and not what you're feeling,
Right.
or think about what the person is saying and not what you think they mean. And so this exercise, did help me a great bit, because in the beginning, it being I guess an uncomfortable topic that we had to address whether we knew in advance or not. It's the fact that you have to get out the unknown. I've looked at my mom as being homeless for quite some time, but we don't dialogue about that because it's just not something that we make a part of a daily conversation. And when we bring it up, it's still not like um, a mature conversation, or when I say mature, as in a fully developed conversation as to, so how do you feel about that? What are we doing about that? Where does our role in this? You know what I'm saying? The actual logical questions that come when you're having a mature conversation. And so playing this game helps me understand that how I view my mom is not how my wife views my mom's, living status.
Mhm.
Um, and it helped us, it helped me understand that that's a big issue in dialogue.
We're good. I think I'm happy how things went today. I appreciate you guys participating. Hopefully you will continue to use this process to resolve the rest of your disagreements, if any comes up. You guys are married, so he's a guy, she's a girl, so you've got to have you're gonna have some disagreements.
Last time we checked.
Yeah, the whole goal is to help you guys stay together, just one issue at a time. And, breaking that issue down into separate details that you can focus on to resolve the issue. All right. Any questions for me?
I mean, I guess my question is, with your finishing statement, one issue at a time. And what I was trying to articulate in my closing statement is that that's just it. No one really looks at it as one issue at a time, especially when there's not a third party there. And I think the hard part for me is not trying to conflate all my issues into one conversation or into one issue. And then being able to
Right.
and then being able to dissect them down to being one issue, talking about that one issue for whatever length of time that one issue lives, and knowing that, okay, we exhausted it and there's not enough time or enough patience or enough of human characteristics to tackle the second issue or the second part of that. So we table it for later. And then life gets in the way, and later never happens. And before you know it, that issue that we were trying to address still got coupled right back into the jar of issues, and it never got resolved. And so I think the realistic aspect of a game like this being well lived out is challenging in the day-to-day activities of one's life, and that of a married couple that looks like we'll be spending all our time addressing issues.
You said, look, you said, are you saying it's challenging to live your life in this game?
No. I guess what I'm saying, what is challenging is being able to address the numerous issues in a timely manner that they don't conflate into other issues and be unaddressed.
If you say what I think you're saying, to me, it's important that couples resolve all the little issues as they come up, because little issues will permeate into other issues in their life and be bigger issues. I had said, I might have told you guys, hold on a second, that I went to one couple's house, and the first thing I always say is, the first step is we have to agree on one issue to settle. And they was him-humming a little bit, trying to think of something. I said, well, the last couple did theirs on should we buy a new dryer. And one of the couple I was in front of said, oh, that's not a big issue. And I said, well, it is a big issue. If you're the person that has to kick this dryer once a week, then you might not put as much love in the food if you're the one cooking food, or you might not feel like having sex that night because you're aggravated for some reason. Or if it's a woman and he comes home with a new power tool, she might for some reason say, you don't need that, when deep down she's feeling like, man, I could have had a new dryer. So I think if couples are able to take care of their issues as they come up, life will just be much better, and they won't make, permeate into other issues in their life.
Yeah,
So
I think you're 100% accurate, and I do agree. I believe we've agreed on that. And where I know in the past with counseling, we tried to focus on that, and either we got away from it or it wasn't effective. I can't really make sense of it as to why we got away from it if it was effective, but yet when we still have those moments of small issues coming up, we're also not addressing them because of whatever is at hand at the time. And therefore, the small issues have already grown to bigger issues. And, this is one of the reasons why I'm a firm advocate of, we don't do it, but I'm a firm advocate of how I believe counseling is a progressive tool. It's not a one and done. It's not, we did it, we got to figure it out, we don't need it again. It's just like a training. It's just like fitness. It's something that has to be maintained to some degree. And because of that, this is how small issues conflate into big issues.
So I'm all for counseling, and my hat's off to you guys for caring enough about your relationship to participate in counseling. the difference I feel in counseling and what I'm doing here is, my motto is couples coaching with instant results. A lot of time in counseling, you have to go through weeks or months of stuff before you start seeing any progress. At least with this, you get progress right away. And to me, it's couples counseling with instant results. Me and my wife, I told you guys we were doing counseling. We got kicked out on the 5th week, and we hadn't had any progress. Of course, it was my fault. I was being stubborn. But I like to think if this game was available at the time, we could have made a lot of progress in those first 5 weeks. My wife had an idea that couples, she said something like, what couples can do is they can set aside time every Sunday to play the game, which I think is a good idea. You just have it on your calendar that every Sunday we're going to sit down and play the game and talk about an issue that might have come up. You guys have to agree on what the issue is. That way each week you'd be, looking for something to settle and knocking things out. I like how, I don't, Ray, I was texting you and your wife when you guys were, I guess, in the airport going on your Vegas trip. And man, it really, really, I got to tell you, I was supposed to be taking the holidays off, not doing anything. But I was texting you guys when you were in the airport, see about finishing this issue. And Ray, you said to me something like, hey, I think I should let you know we resolved this issue. And at the same time, your wife texts me and I asked her, and she actually scheduled for Friday at noon. And I said, oh, what's this about? And I text her and I said, hey, are we going to do the same issue or a different issue? And she said the same issue. And I was like, uh-oh, it's not resolved for her, but he seems to feel like this issue has been resolved. And I felt really, really, really good about that because, for one, that's how things get swept under the table sometimes. You're going on thinking that, hey, this thing is done when really it's not. It's still a problem for your wife and you don't even know it. And the other thing I liked about it is, which I mentioned to your wife, she can go ahead and go on this vacation and be in the moment and enjoy. You guys can enjoy each other without her stressing about your mom's situation, knowing that once you get back, you guys are going to play the game again and finish the issue. So for those two reasons, I felt really rejuvenated and, put out a couple of things in through my media. So I want to thank you for that. Okay. And I want to thank you guys for being part of the YBAngry movement. And maybe you can help push it a little bit. That's what I'm calling it, the YBAngry movement. And a big part of the biggest part of the YBAngry movement, I think, is couples saying to each other, so what you're saying to me is, and just slowing down a little bit, making sure you understand what the other person said, and having fewer misunderstandings. Actually, not fewer misunderstandings, but more understandings. Because we don't usually know when we misunderstand. You know what I'm saying? We assume we know what the person meant. Correct. So I believe even when you assume, even when you think you know what your partner means, you should say, so what you're saying to me is, and tell that person what you believe they mean in your own words, just to make sure. All right?
No, I agree. I think you wanted something. I think it's a relevant game. I just hearing what you just said, I realized that that's just the human mind, right? That's the adult mind to assume that we know.
Right.
Rather than, go into it, I don't know anything. So, I mean, when you ask that question, why be angry? I think that's the first question. Why be angry when you don't know? Right?
Right.
Because if we apply that, then it's like, I really don't know why I'm angry.
Right.
I'm angry off of assumption. I'm angry off of what I think is the issue, and I've got my feelings caught up in something I have no idea about. And if we approach it with a why be angry, you settle it where it's like, okay, no one should be angry. Let's talk through the issue, right? One
Right.
issue at a time, and have a very logical conversation that possibly sets aside emotions, then maybe we can determine if this something really worth being angry over.
Right. Absolutely. I believe if two reasonable people have the same data in their head, they'll come up, and they want to be in a relationship, they'll come up with the same reasonable conclusion, as long as they're reasonably compatible. And you
Right.
guys obviously are. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate
Rod.
you guys, and talk to you guys
Awesome.
later. Yep.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Rodney. Rod,
All right.
bye.
Bye.